Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's new releases show from Variant Edition. My name is Brandon, and it's been an eventful couple days, I would say. First, on a personal level, just in case I break down crying during the show, yesterday I said goodbye to one of my partners in crime, young Miss Jiminy, Jim, my cat, who I've had for about 17 years, who according to the vet is over 18 years old, was over 18 years old. And yesterday, put her down because she wasn't doing so great, and I held her in my arms, and now she's in a much better place. So I wasn't going to do the show today. I was going to take it off. But I persevere. Grief's going to come at me in waves. But as I've said sometimes before, the comics industry stops for nobody. Comics come out every week, or at least they try to. And a lot of stuff happens. So with that in mind, I titled this Diamond Files for Bankruptcy for a reason, and that's because what once was the biggest distributor, the only distributor for many years in comics, for decades, has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Now, that means a couple different things. So, as I've been going over things today, that does mean that they're not going away right away. Chapter 11 gives them the opportunity to restructure to continue without their creditors coming after them and kind of shutting them down as a result. So there's some stuff going on there. Now, as I've done some light reading on this, apparently Chapter 11 bankruptcy is a lot more expensive to file than a Chapter 7, which would kind of wrap everything up for you. And as part of this, Diamond is selling off chunks of their business, and not just Diamond, but like Jeppy family. I want to say studios, but that's not right. The Jeppy family enterprises or whatever, who owns Diamond, who owns Alliance, who owns just this chunk. So, for the quick and dirty, for those of you who don't know, Diamond in 2020 was the comics distributor. And for a while, DC's contract was coming up, and they were looking into other options. Then the pandemic hit. And so the need for other options became quite apparent. So what ended up happening was DC made a move to not distribute comics through Diamond. And for those of you who don't remember or quite remember, when this distribution split happened, DC was still shipping some books through Diamond. I know that for a fact because we were still ordering them from Diamond because the other options weren't quite viable for us in terms of shipping. And those two options were Lunar Distributions and another outfit that I can't remember. But in quick order, it was discovered that Lunar was actually part of discountcomicbookservice.com and instocktrades.com and an outfit in the States. And the other one was Midtown Comics. A leaked batch of information from Diamond about everyone's Diamond sales, basically, had DCBS, Discount Comic Book Service, and Midtown Comics as the number 1 and 2 clients for Marvel, which suggested that they were actually, the top 2 retailers in the business. So when you're in a system where there's only one distribution option for comics, one that really would function with the needs of comics, getting out weekly, specific numbers ordered. You can't do that with magazine distribution quite properly. Magazine distribution, you kind of get chunks, bundles of stuff, and you can kind of see what you sell, and then there's a lot of returns. There's not a structure there to do comics. But when you think about it, when you have a comics distributor and the number one and number two purchasers of comics to people, they do a lot of mail order. You kind of realize that those two factions are, in a way, the next two largest distributors of comics to people. So you contact them, say, what would this look like if we tried this? And for Lunar, it worked, or they made it work. For Midtown, they were done in, I think, under a year. And with Diamond, there was just a message one day that said, hey, going forward, DC books will not be sold through Diamond. Flash forward, and this kind of causes a cascade in the industry where now Marvel's looking for distribution, and they actually partner with Penguin Random House. And Penguin Random House converts one of their warehouses to just distribute single issues. They invest heavily into this business, and in part because they're a company that wants to grow. And there really isn't a lot of money in distributing single issues. It is a means to an end. You're not going to get rich doing it. And that's why an outfit like Lunar works, because for their other businesses, which there's built-in protections from, but for their other businesses, if there isn't a viable comics distributor, then comics don't get distributed, then they don't have a business. So even though the distribution arm is probably not really making them money, it is a means to an end for their larger business. Same with Penguin Random House. Distributing single issues can't really be worth money, but what is worth money is the rights to distribute Marvel graphic novels, the entire line. Very soon they purchase Boom, so Boom single issues, Boom graphic novels. They do IDW, they do Dark Horse, and a whole bunch of manga, all kinds of stuff. So that kind of splinters off. And then more companies decide to go with different companies. Image ends up moving their single issues to Lunar and their graphic novel distribution to Simon & Schuster, and it had been at Diamond before. So, yeah, what are we seeing here? Yeah. Yeah, the comics. Diamond has been having some trouble getting comics out to folks recently. Let's see. And yeah, Jeppy does have a sizable war chest, if he really wanted to, of a lot of comics to sell, to float Diamond if he wants to. Now, there are some rumors that a lot of what's happening is part and parcel on a way to really sell Diamond in general. But what has been happening around this bankruptcy, a lot of different things to consider. So first was the announcement that that Diamond is going to be looking to sell some profitable assets, which include Alliance and their Diamond UK branch. And the purchaser of both of those, or at least the intended purchaser of both of those, is Universal, the distributor that we get our DC and our Marvel and our Image through. Now, Alliance, because we've got a couple questions about that. We've got that from Austin, and we have here, I need to hear about Alliance and what they are. So Alliance is their gaming branch that they run, and that's where a lot of the trading cards, board games, and all that stuff gets sold. In the States, they actually have some exclusive lines for NECA and WizKids. I believe they are right now. And Universal making a bid for that is a pretty big move. Now their bid is what is essentially noted as like a starting bid. So other people might end up purchasing this. For our needs, I adore Universal and getting our books from them. I've also heard that Universal had really only been able to distribute DC comics to the States, and that their other lines of comics they had not been allowed to. But as of today, they were allowed to open up distribution to accounts in the States. That has not been like announced. That has been the contact through some of the comics retailers that I talked with that have Universal accounts in the States that don't want to deal with Lunar because they see Lunar as a direct conflict of influence. I think that's the right phrase. That they do own an online comics and graphic novels retail site that they sell from. So some people wanted different options, and from the sounds of it, now folks can grab Image from there. Now folks can grab a few of the other things from there, which is really cool. Now, there we are. That's what I was looking for. My brain is mushy today, friends. Now, another big part of the diamond of it all. A little while ago, an email got sent out from Lunar to all of their accounts, stating that this past Monday's final order cutoff for Image titles. If anybody ordered books from Diamond, they need to place those same orders with Lunar immediately. Because as of those shipping books, I believe that'll be mid-February, Image books will no longer be distributed through Diamond. This is what is seen as a strategic call in order to avoid more potential debt owed to Lunar and to Image over time. As if you do a search on a site called ICE, let me get this. Might even ICV2. Yeah. Or maybe I just share this window. Maybe I just do that. Dun, 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 dun. Come on, buttons. Help me out, friends. Let's do this little tabby. Just this little tabby. Talking that information. Boop. So this notes some debts that that Diamond currently own. I say some debts because it is unsecured creditors. Now, I do not personally know the difference between unsecured creditor and a secured creditor, but I do know that there's some folks that are owed money that are missing from this list, and I would assume they are secured creditors. So, Diamond currently owes over $9.2 million to Penguin Random House. Now, Penguin would be where they get the Marvel product from, IDW and Dark Horse. Turns out they're behind. And 9.2 million isn't sort of like a floating like, that's how much product comes out each week. That's a few months behind for sure. And then everything kind of goes around there. Debts and assets are both described with ranges of 50 to 100 million. The petition states that funds will be available for distribution to unsecured creditors. So basically, if you go to icv2.com, there's a lot of money that's owed. And I know for a fact, not listed, at least in this chunk here, that Diamond owes money to Hachette. Now, Hachette has a whole bunch of different outfits. They have some manga publishing. They're the folks that distribute Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and Abrams. And Abrams was actually kicking off a single issues line this year that has been on indefinite hold because Diamond was going to distribute those single issues, and Diamond just sort of stopped getting any Hachette product, anything from Abrams. Diary of a Wimpy Kid, a huge book. People were waiting months and months before they realized that they weren't getting their copies. Well, it's because they owe them money. And Hachette, kind of in a whisper, again, not officially, intimated that they don't see a resolution anytime soon. A little while back. This was after Diamond was like, oh, we've got everything on final order cutoff from Hachette from the last little while. We'll get you your stuff in January, February. And then you have here. All right, so we've got secured creditors would hold assets as a leverage for the debt. The easiest example is a mortgage, which is secured against your property. Okay, cool. Good to know. And yeah, that's not we missed one rent 1 month kind of money. No. And here, secured debt is backed by collateral like a car loan or a home mortgage. Unsecured debt like credit cards have no physical assets to repossess. Okay, cool. So that's good to know. And yeah, all this to say that Diamond is in a spot of trouble, especially if somebody like Lunar and Image will no longer distribute to them. This puts into the mind of a retailer like myself of, hey, maybe if I am ordering my Marvel books from Diamond, maybe if I'm ordering anything that they sub-distribute, the Viz line of comics or of manga, all sorts of different things. Maybe I need to diversify and put everything out into different arenas so that, I'm assured to get my product. So I do see a lot of retailers moving their Marvel orders away from Diamond. I do see a lot of publishers reconsidering how their books are being distributed. And I do also see that if an outfit like Penguin is out a chunk of change, when you scale that down to a small comics publisher, sometimes that money is life and death for a company. Like, how does a company continue if they're owed from their distributor? How does their cash flow work on their scale? It's a lot trickier to manage. So I don't see a great path forward for Diamond, despite the fact that they do intend to push through this and get to another side to safety. They've downsized to one warehouse. From what I've heard, they've cut their home office in half, and they're secured I think a $41 million loan in order to help cover debts. Now, obviously, that's not going to go too far right now, but also something to consider. When Diamond does wholesale from outfits like Image, from outfits like Marvel, it has been reported that they were actually making more money on each transaction. They were actually getting more profit from not being the distributor of those lines, because they obviously weren't just getting like a fee to distribute, you know? They were earning money on the discounts that they were able to procure and then push through to everyone else. So if one of the parts that was making them money, nice one. If one of those areas that were making the money, kind of the wholesale, ends up drying up because of money owed, that puts them in a more precarious situation. If they sell off what is claimed to be profitable areas of their business, like Diamond UK, like Alliance, although Alliance is listed as having some debts too, I believe, I'm not 100% sure. But if you're shedding off parts that are working, and if some of your parts that are working for you start to become untenable because you're in a bankruptcy, and you know it's well within the rights of distributors or publishers to be like, look, we can't trust that we're going to see our money, we're going to see the cash flow that's going to get us through. You know, what do? You really need to shift things around. So that's kind of where things are right now. Diamond has declared bankruptcy, and there's rocky shores. Yeah, sure. There's rocky shores ahead. And that's all. Not even considering what will happen with Free Comic Book Day. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is Diamond has been the main facilitator of Free Comic Book Day since its inception. Now, that is, of course, splintered off quite a bit. DC kind of does their own stuff for Free Comic Book Day. But since they do not distribute through Diamond at all, except for in Diamond UK, they kind of do theirs on their own schedule. So there's a whole bunch of single issues being offered for Free Comic Book Day. But does Diamond have the cash flow to see that through, to get the books out and to power this? I would suggest that they will, at the very least, see through Free Comic Book Day. I don't see Diamond, if they want to continue, to drop the ball on something huge like this and to cause distress for the publishers that are currently working with them. Now, a lot of Free Comic Book Day product would get out there, as Penguin does distribute all of the Marvel, Dark Horse, IDW stuff, their own books that they do as well. They would do, and Lunar would do obviously the DC and the Image stuff. So there would be a chunk of stuff coming out. It would be more of like, where does the Scholastic publication go through? Where does Mad Cave stuff go through? Where does, you know, any of them that don't have those? A lot of tough questions to be worked out, and not a lot of answers yet as things go on. As things stand, I am expecting this week's Diamond shipment to get to me by Thursday or Friday. which is interesting. And yeah, I'm curious to see if this will have a domino effect to the people that they owe money to. And honestly, the first domino has been kicked over, because you kick dominoes with Lunar withdrawing, or Lunar and Image withdrawing their distribution, their wholesale through Diamond. So we'll see how that goes. I would be shocked if Diamond didn't try and make good with Penguin immediately, because that is Marvel, and that would be their biggest chunk of revenue. And Penguin does have more of an ability to weather a little bit of non-payment. So they might work with them even on their own end, because the volume through there helps. Or, they might force Diamond's hand and bring things in house. Who knows? All right. So that's really what's happening with Diamond. It's some wild times, and all we know now is that they will still continue. They will push on. For how long is hard to say. There's a lot of assets that they have to sell, and I am going to be digging more into stuff as more information comes out. I know Heidi McDonald at Comics Beat has some good information happening. And something I forgot to mention. Not that they are a huge game in the manga scene these days anyways, but Tokyo Pop, as of January, moved their both their direct market distribution and their book market distribution away from Diamond and to Penguin Random House as well. So little chunks that are leaving that atmosphere. Very, 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 very interesting. All right. Well, there's honestly not a lot of single issues to talk about this week. I am going to talk about a couple of the single issues and the new releases, but it's going to be really quick because, like I said, I have the sadness in my soul, and I have used up so much energy on all of this today. And of course, I love doing this. But I definitely am going to need like a little break of some kind coming up here soon. Now, something positive that I will say about Diamond is they make it the easiest out of all the different companies to find the different books and the order codes that are available. And that's very important because it saves a lot of time in a lot of ways. I really wish that there would be another outfit to come along to be able to help out with that. And I heard rumblings of something that would be pretty cool. So, but we'll see how that goes in the future, like with jetpacks. All right. First up, we've got Behemoth #1. When a giant monster attacks a city and swallows a bus full of civilians, one woman must fight for her life. Trapped inside the enormous beast, Sarah and her fellow bus passengers soon find out that they're not alone. What dangers lie within the belly of this beast, and who or what will they have to contend with in order to survive? So it's a little like Jonah and the Whale meets Godzilla. We've got the first issue of Ultimate Wolverine. This is the first full issue of Ultimate Wolverine from Chris Condon and Andrea Cappuccio. Cappuccio has been the main Moon Knight artist for a while, and this is a sign of confidence that Marvel has in him, because as Moon Knight is doing quite well, this is a higher profile book for sure. This takes place in the Ultimate Universe, where this Ultimate Wolverine character is actually a tool of the Maker who essentially made this universe and has been trapped away. He will be trapped away for 2 years. We're now 1 year into the timeline because the Ultimate Universe happens in real time with the monthly releases. And this is one of his agents. It's basically like a super spy story, very murdery. We have Shadow of the Golden Crane, a new chunk of the Mignola-verse Hellboy stories. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. Sing while I do it, because I am not prepared. A mysterious BPRD case in the 1960s forces Agent Su Yang to dive into the history of the secretive Golden Crane Society and into the questions in her own family past as well. Hellboy creator Mike Mignola is joined by writer Chris Robertson and artist Michael Avon Oming in this paranormal puzzle that unfolds across time. And finally, for big single issues, we have Rogue the Savage Land. It takes place in between issues of Uncanny X-Men from the 90s, and details more of what ended up happening with Rogue and Magneto and all them folks when they were hanging out in the Savage Land. This has been referenced in the X-Men 97 cartoon in ways-ish, and this is Marvel kind of like going back to an era. I like to call them, they're sort of like I forget what my term was, retro miniseries, I think, where they pick an era of time, they go back to it, and then honestly, they always sell quite well for us folks who really enjoyed certain eras of X-Men books, of Spider-Man books. I know they got my ass one time with a Ben Reilly series, because that's my boy, my sweet damaged boy. And you have this Rogue series here. It'll be 5 issues. 4 issues or 5 issues. My brain. And finally, for single issues, we have Jim Henson Presents. This is an anthology series that features, as you can see here, some Fraggle Rock, some Farscape, and some Dark Crystal. And you do get all the different flavors. There's some great creators on here. Shannon Waters, who did Lumberjane stuff, and Max Sarin, who drew Giant Days, does Fraggle Rock. And you also have Shannon McGuire doing the Dark Crystal stuff, which I think I need to tell one of my customers about, because they get all of Shannon McGuire's stuff. And I think that's going to tickle their fancy. Variant edition. Tickling fancies since 2015. Some stuff here. All right. Yeah, and that's what I've been hearing from different retailers, as they were told that they are allowed to now distribute more than what they used to. What entirety that entails, I don't know. I've reached out to Universal, but obviously it's more of a reach out to the needs right now than answer the questions of a dude who just is curious. What about subscriptions on your website? That's not tied to Diamond. No. So there's a lot of people who have their point of sale and subscription service running through Diamond right now. And that is going to be a problem. We left the Diamond program quite some time ago, though for whatever reason, we're still listed on their Diamond Pullbox system as being able to order things through there. All of our stuff goes through Managed Comics, and it is really it's done wonders for us. And a lot of folks will be needing to look into other options. I definitely would, especially because as part of this, like, Diamond also is probably selling off those systems too, like their point of sale. So that should be interesting to see what little chunks get cut off of Diamond there too. So and yeah, Penguin and Lunar and Universal as well are really great for actually having some stock on shelf, which is good. I think so. There might be one more. I know one came in today. And it is. He lives. And finally this week, well, two things. One, in a box, coming to us soon. Maybe tomorrow, maybe Thursday, maybe Friday, are the 1982 DC style guides, the manuals that were printed out. I'm very excited for this. This was supposed to come out in August, and I ordered a chunk, but I will say that it's probably the only order that we'll be able to get. Otherwise, we'd probably be ordering direct from the publisher themselves, as this seemed to be sort of like a little one-off to get stuff. The DC 1982 style guide is a part of comics history. It is Garcia Lopez's base designs for all of the different characters for the DC line, and was the basis of pretty much any modeling that was required for licensing for years and years and years and years and years. It is very cool, and I cannot wait to actually have copies in hand. I'm writing down Ultimate Wolverine for you, Sean. One of the pluses of doing this at the store is I will walk downstairs and put it in your file. I don't have to remember anything in the morning, so it'll be good. All right, finally, this baby arrived at Variant Edition. This has been a long time coming, solicited, I think, for like 2 years ago, and finally got here after we had to reorder it again because our original orders were canceled because it was supposed to be out 2 years ago. Sorry, folks. The Adventures of Luther Arkwright, first serialized in 1978, is considered by many to be the first British graphic novel. Praised by many writers and artists, including Alan Moore, Neil Gaiman, Jean Girard, or Mobius, and Michael Moorcock, the groundbreaking experimental adult science fiction story was a seminal work, inspiring and influencing many comic creators. Its sequel, Heart of Empire, was published in 2001. Both books have been continually in print since they were first published. And set 50 years later, The Legend of Luther Arkwright is another standalone story. While still maintaining total continuity with the Arkwright mythos, it is a different kind of adult adventure. Pursued across multiple historical divergent parallel worlds, both utopian and dystopian, and facing a far superior adversary, Arkwright battles to save humanity from mass destruction. His only edge is his experience and force of will. The Legend of Luther Arkwright, beautifully drawn by master storyteller and Eisner Award-winning comics creator Brian Talbot, is a milestone in British comics history. And it's a big old freaking hardcover. Very good for folks to nab that. All right. Thank you all for sticking with me during this. And, you know, we all made it through. We all made it through and nobody had to cry. So I'm very proud of all of us. And I will be seeing you in store tomorrow. I'm stick around the whole day. It depends on how Craig is feeling, because Craig's feeling a little off. And, you know, I can push through a little grief to make sure things are running when someone's actually like sick, you know? So how this goes, right? Thank you all for being here. Your support has always meant the world to me, and the store in general. Because yeah, we're not here without you. And but decidedly, probably we will also be here without Diamond. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on things. We'll keep you all updated, and we will all see you hopefully this week or in weeks to come. Thank you so much, and we will talk again soon. Bye.